freshly baked chocolate chip cookies right from the oven? I know I do. Did you ever wonder where chocolate chip cookies came from, or furthermore, who invented the famous Amos chocolate chip cookies? The founder of the famous Amos chocolate chip cookies, his name is Wally Amos. And I am here to educate you on a little history of the start of the famous Amos chocolate chip cookie brand. Wally Amos was born on July 1st, 1936. He grew up with his parents until the age of 12. Wally was then sent to live with his aunt in New York City because his parents unfortunately went through a divorce. Wally's aunt did not have much money, but she sure did have freshly baked homemade cookies on the table every night when Wally came through the door. Wally found an interest in baking, so he decided to enroll at the Food Trade School for Culinary Arts for 2 years. After Wally graduated from the school, he joined the Air Force, where he served our country for over 4 years. After Wally left the Air Force, he began baking cookies until he landed a job at the Williams Morris Agency. Wally worked at the Williams Morris Agency from the bottom in the mailroom, where he sorted mail. He worked himself all the way up, where he became the first African-American rock and roll talent agent. Wally signed huge artists such as Marvin Gaye and Simon and Garfunkel. Wally decided that that wasn't enough for him, and he wanted to open up his own management company. So he quit the agency. Unfortunately, Wally was unsuccessful with the company, so he started baking cookies again. Wally always resorted back to baking cookies because that is what made him the most happy. Wally's friends and family told him many times that he needed to open up a store selling his famous gourmet cookies. So he decided to get the help from his friend and past client Marvin Gaye and opened up the first famous Amos cookie store in 1975 in Los Angeles. By 1985, Wally had over 3 freestanding stores and was bringing in millions of dollars in revenue. However, Wally was uneducated as well as very ignorant to the financial side of running a business, and eventually was sitting on piles of debt. Wally eventually sold half the company to the Bass Brothers and became the vice president. The Bass Brothers eventually fired Wally from his position, and he was no longer part of the company. In 1988, a corporation called the Shansby Group purchased the famous Amos cookie brand and repositioned the whole brand image. In 1991, Amos tried to launch another brand, and the Shansby Group sued him for violating an agreement that forbid him to use his name on the package of food products. In 1988, the Keebler Company purchased the famous Amos brand and eventually moved the whole brand image to what we used to know as gourmet cookies to what we now know as the cookies selling in grocery stores and vending machines. Wally was overwhelmed and didn't know what to do, so he moved to Hawaii with his wife Christine Harris and 4 children, and started his own muffin company known as Uncle Wally's Family of Muffins. Also, Wally started another cookie company called Chip and Cookie, where he used the pure Wally Amos recipe, where he was selling his gourmet cookies once again. Wally is now making millions of dollars in his new companies and doing many entrepreneurial work, like advocating for ending illiteracy in the United States and working with organizations like Read to Me and the YMCA. He wants parents to read to their children from birth up to 6 years old and even in the womb as well. He also has written over 10 books and dedicates all his success to his Aunt Delia, who started his love in chocolate chip cookies. Wally is the prime example of a man who had nothing and showed that anything can be accomplished through perseverance and hard work. Now, who's ready for some chocolate chip cookies?
Yes. What do you think Wally's biggest inspiration was in starting his company?
I definitely think Wally's biggest inspiration was his Aunt Delia, who started making the cookies for him, and he fell in love with them. That's where he found his joy in cooking and baking in the first place.
Okay, and what did you find most interesting when you were researching this topic?
I found most interesting that a man who once had nothing, his Aunt Delia didn't have very much money, he had nothing, and brought it to something huge and made millions of dollars, and let alone he didn't even have a high school degree. He dropped out of high school and started at the culinary arts school. And he lost his huge company that he invented and lost everything that he had and started all the way back up and is now back at the top. And I think that is amazing.
So you think ultimately losing his position at his company benefited him in the future?
I definitely think it benefited him a lot. Yes.
All right, thank you much.